It's a great pleasure to be able to be here this evening for this launch here in Montreal of this book, because it's been a long process that I've been privileged to see with Gandhar from the beginning through to the publication now. And if Cut of Dreams was in some ways an expression for him of going back to ses racines, to his roots, this in some ways it represents part of the fusion that is this person whom we know. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful work, made even more wonderful by the illustrations. And I would like to say that it is also a work which consists of a unity. All of these poems come together. And so while we were talking about this fusion of Canadian and South Asian, at the same time, Gandhar was always keeping in mind that there's a narrative arc from the beginning right through to the end. And it's a great pleasure to see this book and to be one of you who congratulate Gandhar on this work today.
Maple Vedas. Before Lord Krishna danced with the maidens, he was but a child, pilfering potted butter. As he sang to the swan upon the pond, his voice became clear. Swan, tell me a story about your birth. When I first opened my eyes, there was only darkness, so I shut my eyes in fear. No longer was I nothing. Still, I swam in the void. One day in the lotus garden, in the shade of a banyan tree, Shiva lounged with his wife, sipping lassi and munching ripe mangoes, her small head resting on his strong white chest, her soft dark hair fluttering in the gentle breeze. Shiva sat up and reached for his chillum. Parvati shuffled, then rested her head in her palm upon her crooked arm. She gazed up at her husband as he puffed. Thus Parvati whispered sweetly to Shiva, "One day, if you smoke too much, you might fall down." A baby pigeon tumbled from the roof slats into the courtyard below. A young boy asked Krishna what they should do. "Nothing," replied the boy in blue. "Why not?" said the other. "If we do not lift this bird back to its home, it may die. But if you lift him back, it may never learn to fly." "Hanuman, you silly monkey, the garden is nestled next to your door. Just push to let it in." One day Hanuman took a day off. He spent his holiday in the bushlands of the west, leaving his mace behind. Crunching snow, monkey-pawed, he gazed at colossal pine, fir, and spruce, chancing upon a giant brown dull-horned beast, swinging its armory at the branches of a bayberry bush, shadowed by a yellow birch. He snapped the brittle branches with little effort. "Tell me, sir, what is your name?" asked Hanu. "Mister, I am known as Moose." "Sir Moose, may I ride upon thee?" "Of course you may, for I sense your honor." Thus they parted, God and beast as one, crunching through the snow-laden forest. "Sir Moose, upon what lands do we now tread?" "I know not what they are called, my small wiry friend, but in time people will refer to this old land as Newfound." "Sir Moose, do you prophesy?" "No, sir, monkey god, but I will rise again from generation to generation, my spirit wandering through these thick forests. Thus, it is already foretold. One day, your next-door neighbors shall claim this land as their own. I wander through this cemetery where poppies never bloom, amongst forgotten soldiers laid beneath gray assembly line tombs. I ask a groundhog nibbling on an acorn by a gravestone, how long will monuments linger? He hops back into his hole. I try to dream of death, but every time I close my eyes, a car zooms by, rumbling over the dead. Rank before a name, each grave the same, but for one ungrounded, balanced on a brother. Oh, groundhog, where have you been? Just underground, having tea, a deceased corporal and me. Did you see that red one go by, rumbling over the dead? Couldn't they walk to see Grandma instead? Attention, 10 hut! Attention, 10 hut! Blithered the corporal, one eye hanging out its socket. Down hops the groundhog for tea. I hope you made some for me. Oh, groundhog, where have you been? I've been raising an army. Corporal, the only thing you should conquer with those decaying, worm-beaten limbs is your eye, back to its socket. Oh, pardon me. How embarrassing. Allow me to replace it, dear groundhog. But as he lifted the sphere back towards his skull, the thread snapped, and down plopped the eyeball into his teacup. Silence, and the groundhog blinks stunned. Oh, I've made such a mess, and after all that fuss, just stay a moment and I'll clean it all up. But the groundhog could bear no more, and turned his tail up.